What's up, guys? It's Cannan, and welcome to a new video. And it's been a while since I've done a Silent Hill video. And I actually think, besides the Silent Hill 3 Let's Play, I think the last video I did was actually our most viewed video on the channel, which was my reaction to the Silent Hill transmission, which is almost at 9,000 views. It might be at that by now, and it was also our biggest growth on the platform. So I thank all of you that found us through that video and have stuck with us. And that was an exciting time. For years, Silent Hill has pretty much been a dead franchise. Pretty much like all of Konami's games, whether it be Silent Hill, Metal Gear, any of the others that Konami owns. Like, Konami for the longest time was not making games. And when they did that transmission, I was excited. It looked like maybe Konami had finally woken up and decided, hey, let's get back into video game development. And one of those titles was a little game called Silent Hill Ascension, and it has been releasing episodes. And oh man, it's bad. Okay, I was going to react to it and like watch it and all that and do all the stuff, but I for one, I couldn't get the audio to level out where it wouldn't overpower me, but I couldn't. It's awful. If you've seen any clips of this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, from the animation to the voice acting. It's just not good. Many people have complained that it doesn't even take place in Silent Hill. There's parts of it that take place in, I believe, Philadelphia. There's some parts that take place in Norway. Now, of course, we've learned that the whole thing with Silent Hill is not just about the town. It's kind of almost like a plague that can happen. That's why in Silent Hill F we're going to be in Japan. But it's definitely a stain, not only on Silent Hill the series, but Konami themselves. Like, so I don't know how much of this Konami is behind. Like, there was this, then there was like a radio kind of interactive game they announced, or unless that was Ascension, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched the transmission, guys. But the big two projects were Silent Hill 2 Remake and Silent Hill F. Now, of course, we've not really heard much about Silent Hill 2 Remake since the announcement, though we've heard some little things. Heard nothing on F, which I believe out of those two projects, F will be the last one to come out because it's a whole new game. But I really think what woke Konami up was probably Capcom and the success of the Resident Evil remakes. I really hope that Silent Hill 2 Remake is a test the waters kind of thing. Like, if Silent Hill 2 Remake does well, maybe they'll go back and remake Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 3, heck, even throw Silent Hill 4 The Room in there while you're at it. I don't know that many people that would want remakes of Homecoming and Downpour, which I kind of have a soft spot for Downpour. Downpour it was definitely the best looking game in the series, and it kind of gave a little bit of a open world feel. There was side quests in it. It just wasn't that scary. And then Silent Hill Origins. I would not mind a remake of Silent Hill Origins. Is it kind of a game? Yes, but it still serves as a prequel series game to the rest of the series. But, you know, this happening, like I said, I don't know if Ascension has anything to do with Konami. I don't know how much input they're going into this, because if you watch the transmission, they seem really serious about bringing Silent Hill back. And of course, the last Silent Hill game we got was on the PS Vita, and it wasn't Silent Hill, let's put it that way. So really the last true game we got in this was Downpour on the PlayStation 3. And we all remember PT, we all remember the cancellation of Silent Hills, and really that was it. Like, Konami pretty much didn't make video games much anymore. Well, they did make Metal Gear Survive, which, whoo, that was not a good game. And who knows, like, but you know, it does seem like Konami is at least maybe trying to make a resurgence. You know, they're also doing a remake of Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, and they released that collection, which a lot of people are having opinions on. But will we one day get like an all-new Metal Gear? I don't know. I know our friend Brittany desperately would... Well, I don't know. Brittany can be kind of picky when it comes to the Metal Gear stuff. Who knows? Like, it depends on if it's just good, I believe. Because a lot of people just don't know if they'll ever be able to have like a really good Metal Gear game without Kojima. And I think to this day, Konami and Kojima are still not on speaking terms. But if you go back and watch my reaction to Silent Hill 2 Remake, I literally cried in that reaction. And I think the only few videos that I've cried in on this channel have been, of course, the Bumblebee Kiss, and mostly Ruby related. That was the first thing I ever cried to that was survival horror related. I've never cried for a survival horror video game. I think the closest I did come to crying was when Silent Hills was canceled, but I never thought we'd really get another Silent Hill game. And I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to actually do a little video about Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 Remake, but we've been busy, you know, and all that. But Silent Hill 2, you know, it's funny, it's not exactly my all-time favorite game in the series. Silent Hill 3 is. I just prefer that game. But Silent Hill 2, it has such a following that not most horror games get. Horror games do not get the accolades usually that other big games do. It's kind of like the same thing in movies. Horror movies are usually not the ones winning Academy Awards and Oscars and all that. And at one point, people just trashed anything horror. Now it's a bit more celebrated. Because, I mean, heck, you have Resident Evil 4 Remake getting nominated for Game of the Year. Should it have been on that list with it being a remake? I'm not sure. But Resident Evil 4, I think, is the closest we have to... That's Resident Evil's like, that's their huge game, where Silent Hill 2 was Silent Hill's huge game. And, you know, Silent Hill has always been way different than Resident Evil. Resident Evil is more... It's more sci-fi, it's more action, it does kind of have silly humor spread throughout it with like one-liners, you know, oh, you were almost a Jill sandwich, you know? And Silent Hill has been, for the most part, the more serious series. Sometimes it takes itself a little too serious. You do have little in-jokes there now and then, but where Resident Evil is more of a sci-fi horror because of bioterrorism and bioweapons and stuff like that, Silent Hill is a psychological horror. It's confronting your own psychological fears, traumas, and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, to me, it was always a bit more scary. Also, the fact that most of the protagonists in Silent Hill are your everyday people. They're not cops. They're not soldiers. They're not military trained. The only one that is close to that was the protagonist of Homecoming, because he was home from the army. Where Downpour, you were playing as a convict, but the original 4 games, you had just a dad. Then you had James, who is a lot of things, but altogether he was just your average Joe, pretty much. Then in 3 you had Heather, the just a teenage girl, and who does have a bit of a secret, but at the end of the day, just a regular teenage girl. And then of course you have Silent Hill 4, where you're even more of an average Joe. So that, I think, is what always made Silent Hill a little bit more interesting. You're not military trained combatants, you're just normal people who are having these strange things happen to them because of stuff that's going on in here. And as a psychology major who does have their degree in psychology, that is another thing about Silent Hill that always interested me, was the psychological part of it. Like, what does this represent? What does this monster represent? But I think another thing that has always drawn me to this series is the setting of Silent Hill itself. This little small hamlet of a town shrouded in fog, to the point where every time it's foggy, you're like, oh man, I'm in Silent Hill, you know? And learning, like, the history of stuff. Like, I think it's been said that it was not the inspiration for the game, but in the movie Silent Hill, they did base that version of Silent Hill off Centralia, which is an abandoned town that has a coal fire burning underneath it. It's been going on, I think, since the 60s or 50s, and they had to abandon it because of carbon monoxide, all the fumes, the ground pretty much sinking in and creating sinkholes, to the part where you would pretty much be falling into a burning pit. And the actual town of Silent Hill in the video games has way more of a different story, but in the movie Silent Hill, it is said that people left because of a coal fire underneath the city, or the town. So yes, they did base Centralia off the movie, not particularly the game. But walking in a pretty much an empty town, for the most part, shrouded in fog, it's the perfect horror scenario. It's right up there with being in the woods at night, because you all know I love horror games that take place out in the middle of the woods. I just think it's one of the more creepier atmospheres. And then you have games like Alien Isolation, where it creates this sense of you're alone. And I think that's always been perfected in Silent Hill, that feeling of being alone. And that's why, to this day, it's my favorite horror franchise. And I love a lot of franchises. Resident Evil, Alone in the Dark, Clock Tower, all of them I do have a soft spot for. I love something about all of them. But Silent Hill is the one game that will always make me emotional, because I just think it hits that tone. And even though games like Resident Evil have memorable characters, I found myself getting more attached to Silent Hill protagonists because of exactly what they're going to. Heather Mason, to me, is probably the best horror protagonist in a video game ever. I just don't think anyone has ever topped her, in my opinion, just because of how, like, I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't want to say vulnerable, but like in the artwork for the game, she looks so desperate, so vulnerable, I guess, in a way, that I wondered how, when it first came out on the PlayStation 2, how this would be handled. And I gotta say, Team Silent knew how to write horror protagonists. They really did. And I'm hoping when we get to Silent Hill 2 Remake, when that game finally releases, I'm hoping for still basically the same game, plot-wise. Maybe some added things, maybe with the new systems and graphics and consoles that it'll be on. Maybe we can explore more. Maybe we can go into more like locations of the town. I don't want to say side quests, because horror games and side quests are either great or they kind of stink. So I don't know if I want side quests, but I would like something new as well, some new content to dig into. Now, of course, when Silent Hill 2 Remake comes out, I will be playing it, because I want to see what they do with it. And if you've never seen anything about Silent Hill 2, if you ever get a chance to play the original, play it. Though, if you're gonna find it on the PlayStation 2, it's pretty expensive. And the PS3 version for the HD collection, if you get it on PS3, they were able to fix it for the most part. Do not get the 360 version. They pretty much gave up on that version. It's alright, but if you can't get the PlayStation 2 version, just wait for the remake. You will not regret it. You will go on a psychological horror roller coaster. And if you do not know the ending to Silent Hill 2, do not look it up. Wait until the game comes out. Either play it or watch your favorite YouTuber play it, and I think you will be shocked. But yes, once again, guys, I'm sorry that it took me so long to do a Silent Hill video, but just so much going on. And then with the dumpster fire that is Silent Hill Ascension, just made me want to finally do a Silent Hill video. But if you're a Silent Hill fan, tell me, what is your favorite game in the series? Are you like me and you love Silent Hill 3? Or are you one of the many that loved Silent Hill 2? Are you one of the few that loved the games like Origins, Homecoming, and Downpour? Are you looking forward to the remake of 2? Are you hoping that Konami kind of follows Capcom's little map of remakes? And speaking of Capcom remakes, Dino Crisis, please! But anyway, guys, as always, this is Cannan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And be careful of those cold, dark, foggy nights. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.